So, first of all, thank you very much for coming on at short notice. Why have you been here? You have been lucky and been selected as the pilot district for something that we're looking at speaking to members. What we want to do is get down to grassroots Rotarians and clubs and speak to them and see how we can develop membership. Chris Davies is part of this. Chris, do you want to introduce yourself very quickly?
I've waved. I think that's enough.
Right. And Joy, I've lost Joy now. There she is. So, this is an initiative from the board and supported by us. And what we want to do is go to clubs or invite clubs to send a couple of people in for for us to listen to what's going on. And the clubs we've picked, have picked 24 clubs in total. And the clubs we've picked are, if I can just share this. So hence why we wanted to speak to you before invitations go out. So there's a session in Inverness on Monday the 16th, hence why the urgency, and that's September for the avoidance of doubt. A session in the afternoon in Inverness, a session in Perth the following morning, and in Perth that afternoon. And we've picked clubs based on one in their size and different sizes, some of them rural, some of them more urban, and some of the clubs we never get to somehow, or seldom get to, or seldom come in to some of the meetings. So that's where we are. That's the clubs we intend inviting, and then invitations will start going out to the clubs just after this. So I'm going to, if I can stop sharing. So was it Joy or Chris was going next? I can't remember now.
Well, shall I go on?
Yeah, go for it.
Hello, everybody. I think some of you may have seen me when I was doing multi-district pets with you, but I'm absolutely passionate about us listening. And when I say us, those of us who are lucky enough to write documents and get to spend time with the wider Rotary. What we wanted to do was to actually listen to the members. And one of the reasons I'm doing that is that I'm going to be my club president for 3 months this year. So I've kept there at that level. And one of the things that I think we have not thought about enough is how you are going to run your clubs, how you are going to keep your clubs motivated and happy. And I know when I was an AG, I absolutely loved being an AG because you got to know your clubs. And you have an important role to play here, and that's why we're talking to you tonight. So we genuinely are going to listen. And when people talk to us and say, as club members, what they would like, then we will do our best to make sure that we can do that for them. And that's the benefit that we do have, that we have connections through to, for example, the board. And I don't know whether you want to say a little bit more about that, Joy.
Shall I do that now, Chris? Yep. Yeah, good evening, everyone. If anyone doesn't know me, I'm Joy, and at the moment I'm District Governor of District 1030. And I'm doing this, by the way, from a premiere in Edinburgh. I've just spent 2.5 weeks on the very wet and very windy northwest coast of Wester Ross, but I love Scotland, whatever the weather. Anyway, yeah, here we are. I'm on the board of RGB&I, and as I'm sure you know, developing membership is absolutely just the most important thing, one of the most important things that people are thinking about around these islands. And it's certainly a tremendous passion of mine, all aspects of membership. And I think that if we're going to grasp developing membership and making membership worthwhile for everybody coming into our wonderful organisation, we have to know what Rotarians are thinking about being a Rotarian, and listen, as Chris has just said, listen to Rotarians and think about how best we can support our clubs in bringing in new members and retaining their members. So that's who I am and where I'm coming from, Chris.
Thanks, Joy. If I can just then give you a flavour of what's going to happen, we will have 2 representatives from the clubs that Ken showed you a minute ago. We really will give them an opportunity to say what they think is really good about their club. They will have an opportunity to say what they think of Rotary, and they will also have an opportunity, and we will listen to this very carefully. Well, we'll listen to all of it carefully, but one of the things we really want to do is to help them to retain their members. One of the problems that we've got, as you know, in Great Britain and Ireland is actually retaining members, and really it's the clubs who know how to do that. And it's interesting, when we came on this evening, that several people said they're inducting new members into their club, and I am on Monday as well into my club, and we just want to look at what we can do in terms of our resources that really gets down to the members level, and that's not being derogatory. That is actually saying that we want to listen to you, because you know what is actually happening in your clubs, just as you as AGs know what is actually happening in the clubs, and we want to strengthen your position on that. Have you got any questions about that?
Can I add just a couple of things before we do?
Yeah.
The biggest thing is, first of all, what we've not said is you lot don't need to go. So it's only the clubs. So you don't try and put anything in your diaries. We are inviting the membership lead, Jim Hatter, and David McGee, the training lead, is asked if he could be there. That's fine. But whatever we find will be fed back, so that Jim can work with you and help you, but also the feedback that we get, I can work in the membership team in Britain and Ireland and see what we can develop. So I thought I'd just, before people suddenly start panicking, trying to put things in their diaries.
Yeah, thanks, Ken.
So any questions?
Yeah, can I have the dates again for the Perth ones?
Yeah, so the Inverness is at Monday the 16th in the afternoon, and it's the following morning in Perth and the afternoon in Perth. So the morning one, the afternoon one in Inverness will be in the Lochardle. The Perth one will be in the Dewar Centre. We looked at North Inch, especially since we're there the day before for District Council, but because it's a school day, they couldn't host us. So the Dewar Centre is where we were for District Conference a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And we'll give them tea and biscuits or whatever, a bacon roll to start if they get in the morning. So the sessions will be 2.5 hours for them.
Just one comment, Ken. I mean, you cleared up my issue with the fact you're saying that it's we don't need to be there. It's just these sessions are during the day, during the week.
Yeah.
So those of us that are still working, are being not quite excluded, but you're going to get the older members of the clubs coming along, the ones that can make it, maybe rather than the younger element who are now taking the reins to try and keep the membership going.
Yeah, that's a very good point. We're stuck for the time for the three of us. Hopefully the clubs will find the space to get there. But we do want 2 from each. We do want 2 from each.
Will you be sending this letter out to the various clubs?
The note will go out. Chris is working on that tonight, tomorrow. And I'll send you the list of the clubs. I'll send the people that are on here are the list of the clubs, so you know what it is.
Thank you.
Okay, a quick question, Ken and Joy and Chris. What are you, as the organisers, hoping to get out of this? You must have a kind of like a wish list, or what you feel would be a success. So what do you feel would be a success to come from these sessions that you're having?
It's a really good question, that. And one of the things that I've found from putting occasions like this together is that because we are asking them to comment, we hope that they will actually start discussions with each other. And one of the things that I would see as being a success would be that they start talking to each other.
Okay, well, one of the biggest problems I find within my own area is that there certainly have been 2 clubs just recently trying to reduce the number of times that they actually meet, from being weekly meetings to fortnightly meetings, to try and move that forward. But each time the president tries to present this along with the secretary and the treasurer, they just get voted down and told, you know, the members are not changing. They're going to carry on with weekly meetings. And that in turn is quite a bit of a put off to potential new members who want to join. Because quite frankly, if you're having a meal, drinks, contributing towards Rotary, etc., I mean, you're looking at the cost running into a couple of £1,000s a year. Not everybody is well heeled enough to be able to do that.
That's really good background. Thank you.
Sorry, can I just come in there, Gillian? I think I made this point at the district executive the other day. All of my clubs, I've got one club who are very, very traditional, refuse to do anything but a lunchtime meeting, a meal every week. They still have gongs, they still do all the toasts. They have recruited more members than any other club in my district. Surprise to me, but it tells me something. I don't know what it tells me, but it tells me something.
That's what club that is, Mary?
Aberdeen.
Yeah, and it tends to be executives from the major companies in Aberdeen. And that's probably the reason why that club goes forward quite a lot in terms of recruitment, because they are getting executives from, you know, oil companies and the like.
No, they're not. They have a fair mix. They're not really oil executives. No, I'm surprised how few oil people are in Rotary and Aberdeen in general, to be honest.
Okay.
I would welcome, and I'm sure Jim would welcome as well, Jim Hatter would welcome a conversation. And I know Jim's running these membership roadshows. And if I get a hold of Jim, we can make sure he can talk about ways of getting that changed and ways of helping that, Julian.
Okay. I also think, I mean, I had a president's meeting last night, which is why we couldn't hold this meeting last night, which would have been, I think, preferable for a lot of people. But and Jim was actually at that meeting talking about membership to members, the presidents. And one of the comments that came back was that we're getting too many emails and things about membership, which seems to be turning people off. And that was from one particular club. So I would ask respectfully that when you've come to your conclusions about what we might do or might take in terms of actions, please be careful about how you come back to the clubs.
For sure. And just on the feedback, we will be asking them to pop onto a Zoom a couple of weeks after. I think I can't remember the date of that. Just to listen to see, get some of that feedback, Julian, as well.
Okay.
I think Julian's point is a very, very important one. And that reinforces why we're doing this. You know, it's to hear from clubs, you know, what are the crucial things that, you know, that are stopping people getting new members and so on. So I think that point is really, really important, and I think we need to hear that sort of thing in order to be able to feed back in an appropriate and positive way. Certainly not in a way that's going to deter people from encouraging members.
I would be interested to sit in on the Zoom meeting for the feedback. I think that would be quite good for the AGs to get that as well, to just to listen to what's come back.
Yeah, that's good, Neil.
Let us think about that. I think personally, I would be happy. I would need to check with Joy and Chris. We need to let them give us the feedback, and if you're listening, that could be possible. We'll see. Let us test that one.
Yep.
But for sure,
a number of questions, Ken. The first thing I noted down was criteria. I know what you said in the wider scale, but if I had been asked, I wouldn't have chosen the clubs that are on that list from my own area. For example, very specific reasons why I would have chosen different ones. When you talk about starting a conversation in a sense with the clubs, then you're initiating that conversation. So what are the questions you're asking effectively? What are you, very similar to Julie, Julie was looking at the outcome. I'm interested in where that introduction is coming.
We really are starting with the finding where they're coming from in terms of their clubs. So this is very much about what they really like about their club, what they like about Rotary, and what, if anything, they want to change. And it's as wide as that. So I understand what you're saying, Bill, in terms of, you wouldn't have chosen those clubs. But one of the things that we promised to the board was that we would not go into this with anything other than completely open mind, and with an opportunity to look at different sizes of clubs and different clubs that are in different areas as well. So I have the advantage of not knowing Scotland very well, and but I can encourage people to speak. And that's one of the things that Ken, I think, was hinting at a minute ago, is that we need to be able to make the promise to the clubs that when they speak to us, it is in confidence and with the knowledge that they can be open and honest with us. So, yeah. Does that answer your question?
In part, I'm looking at clubs who will say that they're wonderful. I may have a different viewpoint.
Yes, but we have to take it on their thing. And we may not know the clubs, but we're not naive about how people can talk about their clubs. But also, I hope one of the things that we're going to do is just to give them, enthuse them, because we are actually talking to them as members. The thing that I hear from my perspective is that people in my club don't really want to know what I do anywhere else outside the club, because as far as they're concerned, their concern is about the clubs and about the community that they're serving in.
I think to add on to that, one of the things we're very good at, Bill, is actually opening people up. We're very good at getting the question right, and when we know when there's fluff coming back, so we can ask a question a different way, and we're not frightened to do that, because it really is all about listening and creating the opportunity for them.
Is there a reason why? I don't think there's any of my clubs on there. Is there a reason why you haven't taken two from every area, or?
Yes, solely geography, Mary.
Geography, aye. No, that's fine.
Solely, and when we spoke to Brian to make sure Brian was happy with this, his request was to make sure we pick up clubs that never go to anything as well. Some of the remoter clubs that sometimes we don't get to as well. We could have done Aberdeen, but we felt the Inverness side was one of the ones we want to try and tackle. So no more than that. And it was a coin in the air.
No, I agree with you, because travelling anywhere from Aberdeen is a nightmare. So,
Good
Again, one
question.
of my
though.
clubs, Ken, has 3 former AGs in it.
There you go. Don't send them.
If they're allowed to choose, then they may well send them.
Yeah. And then let the club do it. The AGs won't fluff, will you? Will you? No.
And on the point of feedback, I think what you said is absolutely right. But I do think the point was very well made, and I think we have to find an appropriate forum to give feedback to the district team and to the AGs. That is so important.
We'll do that for sure.
Yeah. You know, this isn't secret what we're doing at all, and I think that the AGs and the district team, certainly we should have a forum to have a discussion about what the clubs have been discussing.
We'll create that for sure.
Yeah.
And I think it might be quite positive that members feel they're being listened to by. Yeah.
That's very much where we're coming from.
Yeah.
And to do that, they need to feel that they're trusted to be able to and comfortable to talk about openly in that room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And at their point of view is getting to you without going through 10 other people. Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure it will lead to suggestions as to what support they may need, how best can they be supported, which is an addition to Chris's answer to that. What help and support can we regionally give to the clubs, having listened to what they need.
One of the things that we're going to do at the end of the session is to ask them to tell us one thing that they are going to take away from the session that they're having, or they've just had that session. And that one of the things that we're going to do when we're going to talk to them and get feedback from them is, have you actually done anything about that? And if you haven't, what has stopped you, and what can we help you to do and provide support, perhaps from Ken's team or from the training or anything else, to actually support them in what they have asked for there.
Graham was trying to get in there as well, I think.
Yeah, I was okay.
Sorry, Graham.
It's okay. No, you're good. This is maybe just it's an admirable thing you're doing here, but I always feel that the people you really need to speak to are the people you're trying to bring in, the people who aren't Rotarians just now, because you're, like Bill said, you're going to be speaking to the people who like Rotary, and they probably like it the way it is. But is that stopping other people coming in? Are we doing something on that side as well?
Yeah, as well. It's a very good point, Graham. Unfortunately, this time we can't really do that.
No, I wouldn't expect this exercise to do that, but there should be another exercise.
Yeah,
of somebody that's doing that.
Well, we could take that back to the board and say we'll do that one. Thanks, Graham. I consider that as support.
It's a very good point, and it also relates to exit polls and why are people leaving Rotary.
Yeah.
Graham, it's actually something that 1040 is doing.
Oh, they okay.
It'd be worth having a chat with them. I'm conscious of time, and we said it would be short. Any other questions? And before you go and invent some, a huge thank you to you all for jumping on, for being positive about it. You will get the feedback. Jim is invited to come along, and David McGee, if he wants to come along, he's more than welcome to listen from a training perspective. But he's not been invited to speak. They've got to be in the listening mode, the same as us. I'll get the recording sorted in the morning, and I'll share it back with you as well. And Carol asked that, just so Michelle could get it at some appropriate time as well. I don't think we've actually got any of Michelle's clubs in there, so I'll share also the list of clubs as soon as I get back from dinner.
Ken, can I just make the point that if any of the clubs, for good reasons, are not able to send 1 or 2 people, we have. Do we have from reserve clubs?
We do. We'd rather the primary clubs come.
Sure.
And it's a timing thing.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why we're having to to try and keep to certain rules is that the idea is to roll this out to other districts, and we will apply the same rules then.
But you're the first.
Yep, you are our pilot.
And
Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that, and look forward to catching. I'll see you at the district council, if not before.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks,
to meet you
everybody.
all.
Nice to meet you all.
Bye.
Meet you all.
Bye.
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 Bye.